Hello! This is the Belgian BM4GP, or BEM4GP, and it's one of those masks with a weird, unique thing on it, which I'll show you if you're not familiar with it. Basically what it is that the filter intake can be put to any side you want. So you have the filter mounted to the right, filter mounted below, or the filter mounted to the left. So the idea is that it works for left-handed and right-handed shooters, and you can use it with a hose, I guess, in a down position like that, going into a satchel. So it's quite a cool design, but sadly it was one that didn't see much use. I'm just going to adjust the straps slightly, because where I've got hair at the moment, it's a bit too tight having all those straps on. So let me just figure out how I want these. If I can get that clamped, then this one. There we go. And that's probably fairly it's a bit too, it's pulling my hair now. So that one like that, you reckon? Maybe now just tighten up this other one. And I'll go to the chat in a second. Right, that's probably just about right. This didn't see much service, because basically the problem was they had quite a few problems with this. This is the model without the drinking tube. You can see the drinking tube's removed there. Maybe on the webcam, I don't know if you can see that. The filter's going to be in the way, so let me just twist the filter out the way. Right, if you can see that little black plastic thing there, that's where the drinking tube would go. But they had apparently lots of problems with the drinking tubes on these masks. So what they then did was they removed the drinking tubes from the mask, but I think the production costs or something were still meant to be very high. So then what happened is I think Avon offered them FM12s or something for a much better price, so the Belgian government ended up buying FM12s for their soldiers and not using this mask. Which is a bit of a shame because this is a very cool looking mask, but I can understand if you have, you know, like quality control problems with the mask and the production cost is very high. You'd probably say, yeah, let's just go for a mass-produced, well-known mask. That's cool. Yeah, hope you like your S6. It's not really a riot mask. It gets called a Belgian riot mask quite often, because I think they, you know, moved it from military service into police service. So like Belgian riot police use it now. But yeah, it was originally the Belgian military mask for a while, but it just became too expensive for them to use. Alright, Mike. I'll watch a Jeremiah Johnson video probably tomorrow. I saw that went up, but it was so close to the time I was going to do the stream, I won't have time to watch it now if I'm streaming for a lot of tonight. I'm really sorry to hear that, Josh, but yeah, I'm glad you enjoy the streams at least. Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun on the air at least. I'm not sure how I'd pronounce your name. Is it Andrejko? I can give you a shout out, so hello. Yeah, slap the like button, because that's helpful for getting the videos shared. No, Avon didn't make the GSR, Callum, they made the M50. The GSR is kind of like a copy of it, but a bit different. It's like, if you had the Avon M50 and then made it a lot heavier and clunkier, that's the GSR. Yeah, of course. Well, if you want to say something, Nitrous, just say it. Don't say want to know something rather than saying it. If they're a decent particulate filtration of cotton pad, yeah, but if it's just cotton wool, not very well. I do have a Discord server, Retro Gaming. It's for Patreons only, and even then, a lot of people join up just to cause trouble, so... Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the videos, mate. So what I'll do is, while I'm waiting for my coffee to cool down, I'll wear the mask, and then when my coffee's at a decent temperature, I'll switch to just putting my glasses on and you know, drinking coffee. £40 a bit dear for an S6, but it's not too bad. If it comes with a bag and stuff, yeah, that's probably not too bad. I very much doubt it, Callum. Because if you look up a mask called the Avon, not the Avon, sorry, just called the C7, that was the mask Britain produced for a very short period and then stopped making. Because they basically said, everybody's going to die in a nuclear war anyway, so why bother making masks? Right? When you say Fushida, do you mean the F2A4? That's a very good mask, as long as you're not spending too much on it. So I thought in this stream we could chat about anything, but if people wanted to talk about survival kind of stuff, that's a fairly interesting topic. I did a video testing out my Czechoslovakian NBC hood today, and yeah, that was surprisingly better than I expected. That NBC hood, it actually is quite water repellent. It surprised me how well, you know, it stood up against water. And yeah, it would protect your head fairly well. It's quite a good piece of technology, really. I wouldn't survive in a nuclear scenario. I've done videos on the sort of subject, but you'd have to, for the initial couple of weeks, stay in a position where fallout couldn't really get you. So in a sort of deep basement or something like that. And then afterwards, you'd have to just hope you had enough canned food and everything else, and I guess stay away from other people. But I don't think in a sort of full-on Fred's kind of nuclear scenario, I don't think your survival odds are very good, to be honest. Yeah, they're real guns, but they're deactivated, so it's where the law means that, you know, they've had bits welded in them and they don't fire anymore. So basically, it's like having a replica that can't shoot, except it was once a real rifle. When you mean cadets, if you mean children, then no, because then that would be child soldiers, which is against lots of international laws, as it should be, because you shouldn't have people who are under the age of 18 fighting in wars. I can understand, you know, mobilising child soldiers if you were being invaded and it was the last step in that sort of scenario, but, you know, just sending child soldiers to foreign war zones seems a very immoral thing to do, in my opinion. Hello, Hugo. No, I never did Army Cadets or Air Cadets or anything like that. Some of my friends did, but the nights those were on nearby conflicted with the nights we used to do the amateur dramatics. So I just did the amateur dramatics. Cool King Camo. You can get a Yugoslavian M1. They've got a lot of problems, as I said, because they tend to melt and they're not all that well built. But if you get the bag and everything, I suppose that's not a bad price for it. Let me just do these straps up at the bottom a bit tighter on this mask. Although then it will probably start hurting me to talk. But is it pressurising? Yeah, good. Mine's got a bit of a smell, Alexander, but not a horrible one. Nitrous, this is the Belgian BM4GP, a mask Belgium used for a while before moving to the FM12. It's a cool mask, but it's one of those masks where apparently it was because of some like quality control problems with the drinking tubes on the earlier models. That's why mine doesn't have a drinking tube on it. And just it was so expensive to produce because I didn't think they had enough industry set up for it. I think they had to outsource a lot of the production. Avon offered them FM12s or S10s for sale or something, and then it was cheaper to buy, you know, masks supplied by another company than it was for them to make their own mask, so they ended up doing that. So you were doing both, Kyle, and they didn't like it that you were doing both. That's stupid. Not that you, no, I'm not saying you're stupid, I'm saying that that's stupid that people be petty as that, but as we know, there's lots of petty people around, aren't there? Like, oh well. Yeah, it's got a good panoramic lens. To be honest, there's not too much distortion in this. You get a little bit at the corners, like there and there, but otherwise, yeah, it's not too bad. I gave the lens a clean before I started the stream because it was a bit dusty. It's a solid plastic one, as you can probably hear. I'd guess polycarbonate or another very good thick plastic, so it's not going to discolour. As we've already said quite a lot of times, Soviet Union, it's a Belgian BEM 4GP. What's that on-call sign, Muddy? Sealing what sort of drinking tube? Because this one, my one doesn't have a drinking tube, but you're saying you've got one of these and it's got the drinking tube? I don't know, because this one, I'll have to turn the filter sideways again to show you. This one's got like the plastic seal that the factories put on it, because that's what they ended up doing. They ended up just completely taking the drinking tubes off during the production process. But that would have been that bit underneath where the drinking tube assembly would have gone, but they just completely removed them. Just a cheap Scott particulate filter, a P3 particle filter. Yeah, it's sealed properly. It's just, you know, the problems they had with it, I think, were leaking through the drinking tube bit, and it just cost too much to produce. But there's no problem with the rubber on this mask. Mine cost about £30, but yeah, £40 isn't bad for it. Let me just check how much they cost on eBay, because they might be cheaper at the moment on there. Right, if you search Belgian gas mask into eBay, you can get these with a filter and a jigsaw camo bag for £31.50. So yeah, I'd go for that. And the shop selling it has 99.5% positive feedback, so that's pretty good. The filter of it looks like an S10 filter or similar. It says the filter may vary from the one pictured though, so I guess they just send it with any filter. No, I'm not from Warsaw. I know where that is. That's near Birmingham, isn't it? Because I used to work with a guy who was from Warsaw, so he sounded Brummy, but no, I'm not from there. This doesn't cause any problems, no. I mean, where this bit sticks out quite far of the visor, it means certain helmets won't work with the mask. But that's not a problem unique to this mask. That's a problem loads and loads of masks have. It's reasonably comfortable, Aaron. I find to get an airtight seal, you have to do the bottom straps up quite tight, which then means, you know, if you're doing like a stream like this and talking for a bit, it wears your jaw out faster. But it's not too uncomfortable. I guess, Adam, if you were using it with a hose, or if you were using a certain piece of equipment where it might conflict, I don't know, like, because I mean, normally you'd have the filter in the left position, so if you shot right-handed, you could obviously shoulder the rifle like that, or vice versa. But I guess in the down position might work better for certain things. I suppose it wouldn't make any sense to have this where you could only have the filter in that position or that position, but not below. Not as far as I'm aware, Defiant Shackleton. As far as I'm aware, I've done a test for this mask, Aaron, if you watch the videos. Unless you mean with particular helmets, if so I could do that. Yeah, I might do a video with the helmets actually, like with different riot helmets and all that sort of thing. But no, as far as I'm aware, pretty much all the Warsaw packed cheek filter masks, other than the Czech M10 and the Czech M10M, and obviously the Polish MP4 and the MP4B, they're not compatible. As far as I'm aware, all the filters are slightly different sized. You might still be able to force some of them to fit in others, but, you know, although they're all Warsaw packed countries doing M17 clones, they're not all identical. I've got an M40, haven't you seen the video on it, Nitrous? Yeah, I've been streaming it, Adam. I might stream some more of it after this stream, if you want to watch. As for sealing it though, I'm not too sure. Yeah, what call sign rack says might work, but yeah. I don't really know, unless you can find, because I don't know what the actual drinking tube assembly looks like. You know, because I've only ever got this one. I haven't got one that has a, you know, model with a drinking tube in. Oh, that's cool. Enjoy the masks, Ash, but obviously don't use them with the original filters. Just a word of advice. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, if you haven't liked it so far. Just because, as said, the more likes these streams seem to get, the more it seems to help share them. What, hot wearing the mask? Not too bad. What's my room's temperature? My room's temperature is 22 degrees at the moment, so the room's at a comfortable temperature. The mask will warm up. Obviously, if I was running around and stuff with the mask on, then yeah, it would get a lot warmer faster, but at the moment it's not too bad at all. Right, I tell you what, let me subscribe to you now, mate, so I can actually see, oh great, it won't even let me go to your channel. Will it? No, it only lets me report or remove your comments, mate. It doesn't let me go to your channel. But if you comment on another video call sign, I can go to your channel from that. And then I can have a look at your thing if you do a video on it. And I can try and give you some advice. I'm sure somebody in some position of authority, Shackleton, thought it was a good idea, or maybe they were bribed, I don't know. I get told often that I'm wrong, and it's actually a really, really good mask, the M17, and I'm just ignorant for not liking it. But as I've said personally, I don't think the M17 mask is bad in terms of quality control or anything like that. The M17 is bad because it's a cheek filter mask. You know. No, mate, stylish pineapple, I was medically unfit to serve even if I wanted to. With more than one condition, actually, so, yeah, not served in the army. But the entry requirements are actually really high for the army now, so even lots of people that want to serve can't. And lots of soldiers got laid off because, you know, they massively downsized the army and sold off a lot of stuff because Britain's quite poor at the moment, you know, doesn't have much money. Well, I think the Sith are cooler than the Jedi. You know, Sheev's pretty cool, he has a good laugh and he shoots lightning, so yeah, why not? Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy. So, in terms of some sort of survival scenario, what do you think would be the most likely doomsday kind of thing to happen? Personally, other than nuclear war, I guess, which could happen, but probably not very likely in the modern day, thankfully, I suppose some sort of, like, really bad influenza outbreak might happen. You know, like the 1918 flu. The Spanish flu, something like that, that actually, you know, ends up killing loads and loads of people because you get a disease that nobody has immunity to. And, you know, there are no drugs to treat it. Alright, cool, Peach, have fun with that. Well, don't ever wear a GP5 with its original filter, mate. But, if you've got long hair, it's not going to seal properly to your face. I hope you don't have bird flu, Soviet Union. I hope it's just a regular strand of flu that you'll get over fairly soon. But I know flu can be pretty horrible because I've had it once or twice and it's made me feel awful. Yeah, Spanish flu killed more people than World War I. That's how deadly it was. There's lots of other people in the chat, Stylish Pineapple. Can't you see their messages? I'm not just talking to myself. Maybe there's something wrong with your YouTube interface. I don't know. Try refreshing the page and see if that fixes it. That's all I can suggest. I've got the armour now, Kyle. Thanks for the offer, but yeah, I've bought the I bought Kevlar inserts for it and everything, and at some point I'll get the you know, trauma plates, but I only want to get a front plate. I've got no interest in getting a back plate for it, and they turn up on eBay for £30 to £50 quite often, so I'll just buy one when I feel like getting one. I answered that question earlier, and the answer was no. The person with a very long username there. And Victor, you just asked the exact same question again, so the answer's no. No, the FM12 and CT12 have the same straps, but the S10 had rubber straps. The FM12 and CT12 had fabric straps. So the CT12 and FM12 have more comfortable straps. The S10's head harness is more like this one. It's like a 6-point rubber one. The FM12 was like a fabric-y kind of elasticy one. Only for like a week or two's worth Soviet Union, because I think personally if you're in a scenario where stuff gets so bad that 2 weeks of food and water isn't going to last you, you're probably pretty doomed at that stage in a modern country, you know. Are you asking out of a list of masks, Nitrous, or you're asking in general out of all the masks that are around? Right, I'm going to take the mask off soon because it feels like my coffee's going cold and I don't want to drink cold coffee, although it's nowhere near as bad as cold tea. So let's remove the mask. There we go. But yeah, I'll just show you that quickly. So that's where they filled in the drinking tube, as you can see. It's like that. That's the plastic thing they put in. I don't know if inside the mask you can see where the drinking tube would have attached to. It's not going to show up on webcam, I don't think, but let me just have a quick look to see if I can show you. It's probably going to be too dark inside the mask. But underneath this chin bit here, there is... Yeah, I don't think it's going to show up on camera, but... with my finger I can feel where the other side of the clip is, so you know it's literally like a plastic valve they've put in there to seal it. But yeah, that would have been how that would have been done. And remember, if you're interested in the merchandise, you can get it on the Teespring Store, link below. Right, that's half the coffee gone in one swig. I'll swig the other bit in a minute because, as I said, I'd rather not have it cold. Not really. Somebody did post some very good links earlier, though, for people in the UK where they could get S10s at a good price. This is actually decaf in here, mate. I put decaf in it just because it's, what, 7:30 now? And, you know, although I'm going to go to bed at, like, you know, midnight, 1 o'clock sort of time, I'd rather not have loads of coffee in my system when I do want to get to bed, so, there's that. There we go. Is the coffee finished? Yeah, let me post a link if I can find it. I'm sure the people will be moaning like, oh, there aren't any more decently priced S10s because Weapons and stuff told all his fans to buy it and oh, I'm miserable. But let's see if I can find one for you. Because somebody posted the links earlier. Alright, this one's quite expensive, but there was one. I'm trying to remember which site it was. Just give me a minute. Here we go, £37.50. What a rip-off price, eh? What a rip-off price. There you go. Interesting enough, the person who posted the link to this thing earlier was called Jesus Christ, so I guess Jesus is saving you some money. He's not saving your soul, he's just saving you a bit of money, but if you want an S10, there you go.
says they've got them in stock. They've got different sizes as well. They've got one size 2 available, and is that it? It says there's 2 available, but it says quantity size 2, 1 available, but size 2 is the standard size. But anyway, if anybody was looking for an S10, there you go. There's some other surplus sites as well, rather than using eBay, that have S10s for like £40 to £50 sort of price. I've seen GP5s sold as like rare World War One or World War Two masks for over £200, but you know, I'd never pay that for them. I've seen some where I think the person just forgot how many zeros they put on the end of it. You know, like they meant to list it for £10 and they listed it for like 1,000. You know, like 1,000 or whatever. But in general, you'll find now and again masks that say like rare whatever World War One, World War Two masks, and they're just generic surplus. You know, like Cold War masks being sold for loads of money. Yeah, apparently Blanks, they later did ones in 40mm before they went to the C4. But most nations did a 60 to 40mm adapter. But apparently some of the late model Canadian C3s were actually made with 40mm filter intakes. Or they were made of like dual intakes. I think somebody was saying that, but I don't know if he replied when I asked him how it was set up, because I found that quite interesting. I think there's a mask called like the Dutch Model K or something like that. And I think that uses the same thing, where it's got like a big 60mm screw intake, and then I think inside that intake there's a 40mm one as well. So if you put a 40mm one in, you can, you know, screw it into the bit sort of further in, but otherwise you'd use a 60mm. Alright, Slingshot Warrior. Did you see Richard Weaponsmith's video, Slingshot Warrior, where he did the bottle cutting challenge thing you're on about? Yeah, I don't get the appeal of modifying masks, especially if it's like somebody trying to rip somebody off by claiming it's a rare mask or whatever by doing it. I could almost imagine now somebody getting a really sun-damaged mask, one that's gone like totally, you know, like a mask that was originally like a grey colour that's gone really brown and sort of yellow from UV exposure. Probably like really cracked, damaged rubber, and then saying it's a rare camouflaged version of the gas mask, pay me loads of money for it. No, tasers are Section 5 firearms in the UK, AMP, so I can't legally own them, only police and military can have them. Same with all kinds of stun guns, I think. Tasers and stun guns are all Section 5s. Let me have a quick look at that. That sounds quite interesting. Ah, it's very cool. Yeah, so it's like a big coat that you can then turn into a tent. That's amazing. I want one though. How much do they cost? $29.99. Oh, I'm sort of tempted by that. I don't know if I'll get one, but yeah. So you wear it like some sort of big trench coat, and then you can turn it into a tent when you want it. That's cool. Well done, Poland. That is really generally pretty cool that somebody's made an outfit that turns into a tent. Any idea which mask you're going to get, Slingshot Warrior? Obviously ask me for advice if you want any advice on it. Don't get ripped off, because there are some surplus sites which will sell, you know, very generic surplus masks for a lot of money and then make incredible claims about them. But if you get something good, get it for like, you know, the $30 to $50 price range, I guess. As far as I'm aware, Patriotic Brit, guns that are properly designed as blank firers, like with the side vents and that, can't. But as said, if you see the disclaimer down there, if it's anything that could be used illegally, let's not talk about it, please. Got a Polish MP4. Yeah, $15 for that isn't bad. Or £15, whatever it is. Yeah, go for that, I'd say. Yeah. I think that was the first group of people that fell out with me, was the surplus sellers, when I was saying about, you know, GP5 filters confirmed for asbestos, because there's all these lab reports. They're the ones saying, no, they're totally made up. You're ruining my business. How dare you say I can't sell these asbestos filters and claim they're totally safe. As I've just said, call sign rack, don't mention things like that. I'll remove your comment, don't make another comment like that. Are you up early then, Alexander? You got a lot of stuff to do today if you're up this early. But if you can watch, you can watch. Quality doesn't really matter. I just warned you, call sign rack, not to do it again, right? That's your last warning, don't do it again. Not much is up at the moment, Penguin. We can talk survival stuff if you want to, or spooky stuff, or whatever. It depends. I'm not going to say your name, mate, because I know what your name implies, but I'll just call you Phil. Well, okay then, Phil. Basically, if you completely got all your hair inside the mask well enough that the outside seal of the mask touched your bare skin, then it should seal alright. However, if your hair still gets in the way, then no, because your hair is going to push the mask away from your face, and then it won't make an airtight seal. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, Gimmick. The HBO Chernobyl show starts tonight, doesn't it? So maybe watch that, because although that will be a docudrama, there's probably going to be loads of cool stuff about Chernobyl in that. There's also a very good BBC docudrama about it. It was a single episode called Surviving Disaster, and it had one of the blokes from Bottom in it. Is that Adrian Edmondson, his name? Playing a really serious role, and he does it really well, even though he's, you know, known as a comic actor. Depends. Do you mean like really serious one, Soviet Union? Because I've nearly been hit by cars and stuff like that before. Or do you mean, like, more like weird, creepy kind of things? Yeah, exactly, call sign Muddy. The actual official numbers were very low, weren't they? Because, of course, like most Soviet things, they were total bollocks. No, memes aren't illegal in the UK, but I suppose if the meme included something illegal, then it could be illegal. Because, you know, we don't have full freedom of speech laws, but I'm not somebody who can advise you on that. Oh, GP7s are surplus masks. There's a GP7 there, but it's not a GP7V, but, yeah, most of them were produced in the 80s and 90s, so yeah, they're surplus masks. Right, depends what you mean by survival kit, because there's like food and water preps around the house, and we've got first aid kits in the house. There's a first aid kit in my car, and like an emergency breakdown sort of kit in my car. But sort of depends what you mean by survival kits, really. But I don't have a bug out bag all set up with all sort of stuff. I ought to do that at some point, but as I said, because I need medication daily, there's not really much point me setting up a bug out bag, in my opinion. Because otherwise it's just sort of more LARPing, isn't it? That sounds good, Slingshot Warrior, so you're going to be all geared up in case there's an emergency and you need all that stuff. Don't worry, Tyler. Well, you've seen now, haven't you? And I'll still be on for quite a bit. Depends which kind of Flectarn you mean, Shackleton. There's several versions. The old one's 44 dot, so as the name would imply, I think it's 1944. The Wehrmacht had it in the SS. Then, after World War II, it wasn't used. Whether or not some other nations did Flectarn rip-offs, I don't know. But then, it was the 80s when West Germany reused Flectarn, if you want. But it was actually a slightly different pattern, slightly different colours. But yeah, so technically, Flectarn is a World War II camo, but then it wasn't used again for ages. But it's the 80s for modern Flectarn, basically. Air guns. I've got 2 actual air guns, if we mean air guns, not airsoft guns, you know, like the ones you could actually hunt with or whatever. I've got a Crossman Nitro Venom, but that's damaged, so although you can shoot it, you can only like zero it at a certain range, and then it's inaccurate at other ranges because the barrel's slightly warped. I've got the Crossman Nitro Venom. That was a very good gun until the barrel got damaged. And I've also got a BSA Hornet, which is also technically a Gammo Hornet, as Gammo and BSA are the same company now. And that's good because that's a £100 air gun. So it's like, you know, a budget air gun, but it's actually very well made for the price. You know, it's not going to fall apart. It's got good iron sights on it. You know, I can't fault it, really. No, I've not been to the US, sadly. I'd love to go to the US. I might go next year on holiday, actually. I've not decided for certain yet, but, you know, it's quite likely next year if I've got some spare cash I want to go on holiday. And if I do, I'll go to the US. No, well, are you on about the UK or where? But things like K-bar knives are completely legal in the UK. Obviously, you can't carry it around on you without good reason, you know, because we have laws about knife carrying. So a blade has to be under 3 inches and non-locking, like a Swiss Army knife for everyday legal carry. However, knives like a K-bar you can have on your own property, and you can have them on you if you have a reasonable reason for having it on you. But again, that's going to vary. If you're caught with it on you, it's up to the police or potentially courts to decide if you had a good reason to have it on you or not. So I would not advise carrying a K-bar around on you or anything like that, but, you know, it's not illegal to own a K-bar in the UK, if that's what you're getting at. Yeah, Kyle, I've got the pelvic armour that goes on my Mark IV, although they don't actually go on the Mark IV vest, which I found out. They actually attach to your belt, so you don't need to be wearing the Mark IV armour with it. You can have the pelvic protection on like a regular belt if you wanted to, like on everyday clothes if you really so desired to do that. But as we were saying, I've got a bag that I could set up for a bug out bag, but it's not set up at the moment. I keep meaning to do a video. I think it's in this room. Let me get it out if you can see it. Alright, this is the bag I bought for bug out use. It's, I think, either a Belgian or a Dutch military rucksack. I think it's like a 30 or 40 litre one. So, you know, it's, let's quickly put it on. This is the bag I bought to actually set up, because you could buy these as surplus for about £10. And it's a fairly good, you know, bag. So I could use that at any point I actually wanted a bag for anything. But yeah, so it's a waterproof sort of bag. But this is the bag I'd set up, but I've not set it up yet. I can't really advise you too much, Archie, on laws because I'm not a legislator or anything like that, and I don't want to give you any bad advice. But my understanding is if a rifle is bolt action, as in if you mean a cartridge rifle, it can be owned on a Section 1 firearms certificate. But, you know, lots of calibers can only be owned on a Section 1 as a bolt action. You know, you can't own them as, like, semi-autos or whatever. They have to be bolt action only. Right, Slingshot Warrior. Let me just go to your channel. Oh, I can't go to your channel, can I, at the moment, because how YouTube's changed the interface and it doesn't let me. I'll have to do that at a later point. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing something like that, Defiant Shackleton, because the problem is that the pelvic protectors are just soft Kevlar, so if somebody kicks you hard enough, you're still going to feel it. Obviously, it cushions a bit of the impact, but I wouldn't risk my crown jewels, you know, unless I really had to. The funny thing is, Shackleton, is I think lots of really heavy caliber guns, if they are bolt action or single action in a sense, you know, like ones where you have to load a single round in and shoot, are legal. You know, with the right paperwork and jumping through the right hoops and all that, you know. But as far as I'm aware, lots of, you know, massive old military rifles and things can still be owned. Like anti-material rifles. Again, I don't know the exact rules. Because I think at one point they did want to ban lots of anti-material rifles and the legislation never passed. Because they said, Has there ever been a mass shooting or any sort of shooting of an anti-material rifle? No. Then why do you want to make legislation against them? You know, criminals don't use them. There's a few gun collectors that might have them. They get shot at range days every now and then, and, you know, that's it. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. This Isn't Hind. I'm definitely going to watch that. It starts tonight, doesn't it? So I'll probably watch it tomorrow. But oh, that depends. I suppose I don't know how Celtic Productions. I don't know how in The Walking Dead the virus spreads. Is it spread through biting or scratching? I've never watched it. But in a thing, assuming that you're fully armoured up, you wouldn't get infected. But if you still got scratched or bitten somehow through the right armour, you could be, I guess. But or they could have been bitten before they had that armour on or whatever. But depending on how quickly you turn into a zombie. But yeah, I think I moaned about that on one of those nitpick videos where we were talking about you know, like unrealistic things in certain genres of films or whatever. A bit like, you know, the unrealistic things about gas masks in games and films and that sort of thing. Is that in some things like that you have zombies in hazmat suits and things like that. I think hazmat suits are the dumb ones, because I think it's in Left 4 Dead 2 you get zombies in hazmat suits, and when you shoot them the air pressure comes out, which means it would have been completely impossible for them to have been infected while they were in the suit, because the suit is still positively, you know, positive pressure sealed. Now, Archie, everything I own is either deactivated or, you know, legal stuff to own without a license. I don't have any firearms and I don't have any need for them, really. Okay, that's interesting. So I suppose, yeah, they've probably already been infected and then they somehow died with the riot armour on. And then that's why they've come back as riot zombies. That's interesting. Yeah, very interesting, Kyle. Thanks for that. But yeah, as I said, I'm not trying to do a full imitation of like a British soldier or anything. I just want to have some of the armour around, just because I don't have a modern plate carrier until I bought one recently. Because I was looking at some other nations' plate carriers as well, but it ended up being cheapest just to buy a Mark IV and then filling in the armour panels myself. Well, sadly, Archie, I can't really recommend much now in the way of deactivated guns, because a lot of them have gone up in price a lot. It depends how much you're willing to spend, but things like that FOW there, the SLR, they'd be close to £1,000 now. It was less than 400 when I bought it. But you can still get PPSHs and things like that sometimes for under £200, so, you know, for that sort of price, yeah, go for that. I don't know if I can get this one out. Nah, sorry, it's going to be too difficult to get out, but you can just about see the barrel of my PPSH there. But yeah, if you can still get a PPSH 41 for under £200, do that. But or, you know, an AK for about £200. But yeah, don't spend like 500 plus on a lot of deactivated guns. It's not really worth it. Some Sterlings are. When I looked, Shackleton, a lot of Sterlings were still over £500, which I wouldn't pay for one. I'd recommend a thin, lightweight rubber suit. Celtic Productions for that. Or what you could do is buy waterproof trousers and a waterproof coat, and as long as they cover each other properly and you could wear it with gloves and everything else, that would be good enough really for what an average Joe would need. Yeah, it's completely fine to talk about armour, Kyle, because that's a completely defensive thing, isn't it? Like I said, I don't like it when people start discussing like very dodgy things to do with firearms or whatever, but the thing is, body armour protects the person wearing it. It's not an offensive weapon. You know, I suppose, yeah, you could probably bludgeon somebody with body armour if you tried really hard. You could even do that with soft Kevlar, because soft Kevlar, you know, is not even hard, is it? But, you know, the point is, I know some people have made a thing, well, what if a criminal wears body armour? It's harder for the police to stop them, but lots of the police already have assault rifles and everything, you know, so what does it matter if average Joe has a level 2 Kevlar and stab vest? Maybe eBay, Archie, I don't know. Or on a few other surplus type sites. It depends. I think like cosplaying and stuff, you get a bit of an excuse to do it. Because there's lots of things like reenactors kind of things where you can get around all the UCARA stuff. Depends which one you mean, Robin. There's a Lee Enfield at the top, and there's an SLR to the side. Anybody got anything interesting going on this week? I'm going to film a video tomorrow, potentially on... I might do that helmet test, whoever it was who suggested it earlier, of this one actually, because that's a bit more interesting, the video I was going to film tomorrow. But yeah, I could try this with different helmets, like Kevlar helmets and the right helmets, and test it with the different filter positions. Because I haven't done a video on the 4GP in ages. I'm helping my friend walk his dogs on Wednesday and Friday again. But I won't be filming a video of that again, it's just I did that the other day because a load of people, you know, like when I did a stream a month ago, when I filmed that video, kept saying, can you do some animal videos? So I thought, people like dogs, so, you know. Nah, did you ask that the other day, or was that somebody else who asked about Airfix Penguin? I did when I was a lot younger, but I don't have any Airfix around now. I've got a couple of die-cast planes, but unfortunately they've been damaged when they've been knocked off shelves before, and, you know, bits are snapped off of them, but... I've heard of the Long Dark, but I've never played it. But yeah, the problem is a lot of those survival games I find are too similar to each other. You know, when you've played some of them, you've played them all. Who are you talking to, Celtic? If you're talking to me, my name is obviously Liam. But if you mean my username, Weapons and Stuff 93. Ah, that's cool, Mike. Yeah, as long as you're still watching, that's alright. As said, what I'm going to probably do again tonight, like I did last night, is play some Mordhau again on stream once I finish doing this webcam stream. So anybody who wants to carry on watching can watch me get cleaved apart by guys running around in armour. Depends what you wanted to do with a collab. I don't mind the idea of collabing with people, mate, but it's just, it depends on how you wanted to do it or whatever and what the subject's about. And also, trying to send people big video files online isn't the most practical thing, is it? Yeah, I've seen some of those PVC things. I think Weapon Collector was going on about this, Alexander, that the problem is with, in the UK, it's quite hard to get the PVC pipes like the ones that are used in the US by the people who make those sort of bows. So I think Mike said when he tried it, you couldn't get one that you could do a very high draw weight with, because the PVC would just snap otherwise. I'm in the UK, Archie. So England is the actual country, but UK, United Kingdom. I like Stalker a lot more than Metro, mate, just because I like having a big open world map, you know, with a bit more free roam kind of stuff to it, rather than the cinematic kind of corridor sort of game. I've already done some videos on that call sign, but what might interest you is at some point Weapon Collector is going to be doing a, when he gets the second riot helmet, he's going to be doing Zombot tests with the riot helmet to see, you know, if like a Warhammer or something hit the riot helmet, would the riot helmet survive, which the answer is probably yes, but also what sort of damage would that do to your neck and, you know, or stuff like that. Because that's the thing with a lot of body armour that people don't realise, is that even if the armour itself stops an impact, your body can still be damaged from it, because obviously your neck can, you know, you can get like neck damage if you have a helmet on, the helmet stops a projectile or like a club or something. And, you know, same with like things, if you don't have a trauma plate but you've got Kevlar, like the soft body Kevlar, like this one behind me, you know, if that stops a bullet, the bullet could potentially still, you know, break ribs and, or, you know, cause horrible bruising and stuff like that. I've played Stalker without mods and with mods. I love Stalker. I will get the Metro game at some point, but I'm not going to buy it when it's an Epic Store exclusive, because I'm not going to get the Epic Store because I'm not installing all that spyware on my computer. If they end up putting it on Steam and then it goes on sale, I might get it, but I'm very happy playing Mordhau at the moment. Ah, that's very interesting, Richard. How much would that cost then to make a bow with that draw weight, just by using those skis? Well, you're certainly going to be in a better position than if shrapnel went into your head, Tyler, if you've got a helmet like that on. But I really don't know, you know, what it would do to your head and neck, you know, if... But, I mean, it's always going to be better to have the helmet, isn't it, than not have it, because You have several scenarios. You can not have the helmet on, something can hit you in the head and kill you. You can have the helmet on, it could puncture the helmet and kill you, so you're no better off or no worse than not having the helmet on. You could have the helmet on, something could hit it, and then it might cause you neck or whatever damage, but you're alive. Or you could have the helmet on, something could bounce off it harmlessly, and you're totally fine. So it seems in really all those circumstances, you're not going to be any worse with the helmet on. You know, I can't think of any scenario other than the weight of walking around with a helmet on, you know, that's going to be of an inconvenience if you're in a, you know, scenario where there potentially be shrapnel flying. But yeah, it's going to reduce damage or completely eliminate damage, really, having a helmet. I mean, I'm obviously not saying walk around with a helmet on in your day-to-day life, that's pointless, but my dad at the moment is borrowing, because my dad's gone on holiday, and he's borrowing my, what are those helmets called? The bump caps? Yeah, the bump caps. He's borrowing my bump cap, because where he's staying there's birds that can dive bomb your head if they think you're getting too close to the nests, because he does bird watching, because that's like his hobby. So he's borrowing my bump cap, so he's actually got, you know, head protection without having to go to a proper helmet, because he was saying to me, could he borrow one of the military helmets if he really needed it? And I said, well, you could do, but it's probably just easier to use the bump cap, because then that's like a sun cap, but, you know, it gives you head protection. Whereas, you might look a bit weird if you're walking around a nature reserve with a military helmet on, but you're free to do it if you want to. He's like, yeah, the bump cap's a better idea. That's crazy, but I suppose that's because Russia's so big, isn't it? Yeah, I'd much rather wear a helmet than a cool hat. There's lots of cool hats, but I'd rather have something in a war zone kind of scenario that would actually protect my head, not just give me coolness factors from the look. I don't mind Russian people at all, Robin, if that's what you're asking. I have no problems with Russia. I mean, the thing is, I don't know, because I know, like Shackleton saying no politics, but I don't mind answering something like this. The thing is, a lot of the stuff that's said about Putin in the West, I don't know how true it is, because they have a big agenda against him. Like, he could probably do some bad stuff, but a lot of the stuff they say about him is smear campaigning. So yeah, I mean, I can't give you an informed opinion, because I honestly don't know about the Russian government and the good or bad things they do. But I have no problem with Russian people. I don't have problems with any people. You know? I think it must be a very horrible way to live if you, you know, hate people because they're a certain race or from a certain country. You know, I don't like doing that. I like to chat with everybody, and I talk talk to people from all over the world on these streams and on the YouTube channel, which is great. You know, you can have nice conversations with people. Do you mean in Britain in 2003? Probably either the Mark 1 or Mark 2 riot helmet. I don't know when the Mark 3 came into service, but that's probably only a few years old. Yeah, during World War II I'd say, yeah, but after World War II obviously the Stahlhelm wasn't the best design, but there is a reason things like the Pascat helmet used the sort of Stahlhelm shape and then just made it out of Kevlar, because the Stahlhelm shape gives very good head coverage and it doesn't cut off your vision all that much, does it? And it looks stylish. So yeah. You know, something like a Stahlhelm's pretty stylish, isn't it? What did you ask, Elicon? I didn't see your question. It might have been YouTube's removed it. Can you ask it again, please? Because I'm scrolling up and I can't see you asking a previous question, mate. So ask it again. Try and word it slightly differently, though, because you've probably worded it in a way where the YouTube auto censor thing has removed it. Also, it's only about £15 then. You can make a bow with around £100 draw weight. That's very cool. Which game do I play? Well, if you had a respirator on to protect your eyes and lungs, and if you covered all your skin with the last resort suit, so you put the suit on, then you crouched down, you know, and the suit was all around you, then yes. But you'd obviously have to decontaminate it and everything properly afterwards. Well, I've not got one of those survival bows, but if you mean like the takedown bows that go into a load of small parts and you clip together, they might be good, I don't know. But I don't know how strong the components are, but as I said, I've only got a few bows. And most of mine are sort of low draw weight sports bows, you know, for like garden shooting. The crossbows, I've got a lot stronger crossbows, but I'm always more into crossbows than conventional bows. Because you need less skill to use a crossbow, so I can do better with it. That's the shit simple reason for that, you know. My favourite game of all time, Soviet Union, is Oddworld's Abe's Exodus, which is an old PS1 and PC side-scrolling platform game. But I also really like Tongue Splitter's Future Perfect and the Stronghold RTS series. They're some of my favourite games. That's cool, Mike. I don't know if you've missed anything interesting. But Elicon, your comment's still not coming through, so try and keep rewording it, because it's just not showing up if you're trying to ask something, unfortunately. What about the crossbow pistol? Celtic Productions, I've got a few of those. I quite like them, they're good fun for plinking in the garden with. That might be a US riot helmet then, call sign Muddy, because Thermite has a Pascat helmet, I think, in Siege, if I remember right, and I think there's some US riot helmets that look similar to the Pascat, but with a visor. Let me just search American riot helmet into Google, and we will see. Yeah, some of the helmets coming out when I search Riot Helmet, American Riot Helmet, are actually Pascat helmets, which then have a visor mounted on them and looks like an inner, like, different liner for it, to give you additional head protection. I guess that's because there's more risk in America that the riot police might be shot at. So, you know, it makes sense that they'd have a combined, you know, military-style helmet and a riot helmet. But there's probably also the thing where they put visor mounts on a lot of Pascat helmets anyway, because with some of the British Mark VI military helmets, they have visor mounts on, you know, so it meant that if British army soldiers were on, you know, like some sort of peacekeeping operation, needed to act as riot, like officers, riot, you know, like riot police, they could, you know, convert the military helmets into riot helmets. I've got a couple of World War II relics, Robin. I've got an M1 carbine, I've got that Lee Enfield up there, I've got a PPSH that's down there, which you can't really see from this angle. I've got some World War II gas masks, and I've also got a German World War II Iron Cross that my granddad found, where some soldiers, apparently German soldiers, have gone AWOL, dumped their uniforms and, like, medals, and then changed into civilian clothes and run off, so they took the medals as souvenirs. Alright, see you, Celtic Productions. Isn't the Mitch one the one that replaced the Pascat, so I assume the Mitch, mate. Because the thing I get confused with the American helmets is I know the Pascat was the first gen one, then there's one that's the ACH, and then there's one that's the ECH. Did it go ACH and then ECH? Because they're better in that order, aren't they? You know, like the latest one's the best one. As far as where the Advanced Combat Helmet was just like an improvement on the Pascat, wasn't it? It's just like slightly better in terms of protection, slightly lighter weight. And is it the Enhanced Combat Helmet? That's the one that's made out of the like thermoplastic, like the really modern one, which actually offers better protection than the Kevlar. Oh, it depends, because there's several generations of Pascat as well, isn't there? Because I think there's some that are Kevlar level 2 and there's some that are 3A, and obviously the 3A ones give you more protection. The thing is, I've heard a lot of people complain Pascats had really bad liners, but the British Armed Police copy I've got of a Pascat actually has a really nice liner in it. So it's very comfortable, and it's a Kevlar 3A helmet, so really you're not going to do any better than that until you get a modern thermoplastic helmet. Or like, you know, like a Russian titanium helmet, that kind of thing, but if you have like a 3A Kevlar Pascat helmet and the liner's good enough that it sits comfortably on your head, there's not going to be a problem with it. You know, it's going to protect you from shrapnel and pistol rounds. Just because I find them interesting, Robin, but one of the main reasons is just that gas masks are really cheap to buy as surplus. Whereas where I get like the deactivated rifles and the swords and whatever else, they cost a lot more. You know, I like collecting all sorts of military surplus, but you know, gas masks are cheap, so that's one of the reasons I like collecting them more, just because you can get more bang for your buck in a sense. The British helmets had a similar problem, Alexander, not with the liner, but the British Mark 6 helmets apparently had a problem where, because of the shape of the helmet, if the soldier was wearing like the full flak jackets or body armour, if they went prone, the collar of the body armour would push into the back of the helmet, which would then tip the helmet forwards, and then go over your face, so you couldn't use the SUSAT scope on the L85s. And I think that's one of the reasons the Mark 7 helmets are cut into such a different shape, is that they're designed, you know, so it's not going to collide with body armour as much. I really can't tell you, Soviet Union, probably thousands of pounds for all my gear put together, but it's impossible to say because I'd have to look up how much I spent on every individual item and add it all up. So, impossible for me to say, but probably quite a lot. But I don't mind. It's something interesting to spend your money on. Far better than wasting it all on booze, isn't it? And drinking yourself silly every weekend or whatever. Cheers, mate. A lot of people apparently don't like my channel, but, you know, I'm happy to talk to the people who do like me. Right, have I missed any questions there? Don't think so. I can see you just asked a question, Creamy Cake, but I can't see your previous question if you asked one. All I can see is you saying, can you see my question? I'm scrolling up and your question isn't there. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, is that... Do you know anything about the Advantage 1000 mask from a few minutes ago? No, I don't. Let me Google it and see if it's the one I recognise. Right, there's a site selling it, so let me load it up. And okay, so it's made by MSA, which is Mining Safety Appliances, isn't it? They make a lot of masks. It looks more like an industrial mask. To me, it looks like the MCU2P kind of face design, but it looks like it takes industrial 3M style filters rather than proper 40mm filters, I guess. It says it's made of high-car rubber, which I have no idea what that is. I don't know if it's like silicon. If so, it's probably not all that tough. But it looks interesting. Don't get me wrong, but it looks more like it's an industrial mask rather than a military mask. Oh, that's interesting, Rich, yeah. Okay, so it's just like advertised as a different thing and made slightly differently, although it's essentially the same thing. I think with some of the riot control masks, they're made out of like a softer, more comfortable and lightweight rubber, but the thing is they wouldn't stand up to blister agents. I think that's it. It's probably saying this is a lower quality mask in terms of protection abilities in the mask face piece itself, but you know, that means that just against tear gas and pepper sprays and things like that, the mask would be fine. So that's probably it, I imagine, if it's a dedicated riot control mask. Yeah, I think that's exactly it, Alexandra. I said I don't want to get too negative and keep sort of going over stuff like that. You keep saying for me to answer your question, Elicon, but your question isn't coming through, so I can't answer a question that YouTube's hiding from me. Weather today was quite sunny, I think. We've had a bit of rain over the last few days, but it's typical in England, isn't it? But yeah, Alexander, I think for a lot of people, it's, and this is across the board, it's the whole success breeds jealousy thing, isn't it? Where if somebody's doing well, somebody who can't be asked to put the effort in to make good content themselves or whatever, blames the other person for people liking them, rather than actually, you know, doing something themselves. Have you heard the old expression, it's better to light a candle than curse the dark? Because that's exactly it, I think. It's for, you know, a lot of people, sadly, you know, rather than making an effort themselves to do something, they just rather blame everybody else for it. No, that's alright. I have no interest really in getting it, and I don't really give out my address, Kyle, just because there's lots of people who have, you know, like I said, I get lots of threats online, so I was like, that question came through. It wasn't a question. It says, I have 2 field phones home. Well, is that like military phones or something? Like walkie-talkie kind of things? Unfortunately, I think it is YouTube, I think, keeps removing your comment. Apparently, one of the things somebody was saying to me earlier, that apparently I'm not a proper gas mask collector because I have a lighter collection. Okay? If you want to believe that, you can believe that. Define a proper collector, I don't know. Do I have to have a shelving rack in one room only where I have all my masks on display in a certain way to be a proper collector? I don't know. It's just funny, isn't it? No, because if I have banned words, Elicon, the banned words always show as held for review. So then I can approve or deny your comment. What's happening to you is you're typing in something that YouTube itself doesn't like, so YouTube's essentially shadow banning your comment. You can see that you've posted the comment, but nobody else can see it. No, I've not been in the army, as has been asked several times in this stream. I think it's the latter, probably, Alexander. I could rent a PO Box Iron Man, but we've already discussed this loads of times on Mike's streams. I think when I've looked, they're over £100 to £200, and Mike was saying that people can work out where you live from your PO Box. There's a way they can do that, so I just don't really have any interest. You know, I do the thing like Mike does, where there's people I trust, and the people I trust can send me stuff, and I can send them stuff. But for most people, it's just not an option. That suits me just fine, to be honest. No, nothing came through. The last comment you made, Elicon, is, do you have some banned words? I'm able to fit straps to it, Creamy Cake. I think there's still a leak in the visor, you know, like the panoramic lens. I think part of the glue's gone there. But I can, what I will do is I'll put some straps on it and I will test it again with some air freshener and the banana oil. Just because, you know, I might as well. Oh, that sounds about right, doesn't it, Tyler McCann? I definitely... yeah. Proper in inverted commas even, yeah. What, you've only got a GP5? How dare you? I think you can get MM1s on eBay. Let me just check for you, mate. Yeah, as we said before, this is one of the reasons I don't take part, sadly. Yeah, go on eBay and type in MM1 gas mask. And there's one for £9.99 with a couple of pounds postage, and one for £10.99 with a couple of pounds postage. So you can get an M1 for less than £15. Try leaving a question, Elicon, on a regular YouTube video. Because sometimes, for whatever reason, you can leave a comment on a regular video, but they just don't appear on the streams. Yeah, I'm probably, once this stream ends, Iron Man, I'll end this stream in another 20 odd minutes. I'll probably then play, you know, have a toilet break and everything, get myself a big cup of water, and then I'll probably play some Mordhau for a few hours. Yeah, if you look into it, Mike, and if it's something interesting, let me know. Because I could pretend, if there is, you know, a good way of doing that, I wouldn't mind doing that, potentially, but, you know. It's still, I'd rather not have a PO box or something like that. Ah, sounds very good, Richard. I'm looking forward to that video when you do it. No, this has been asked over and over again, Robin. I've already said several times on this stream, and I've already answered you. I'm medically unfit to serve. I can't serve even if I wanted to. I've got more than one thing that would keep me out of military service. So, unless they got really desperate and were conscripting and scraping the bottom of the barrel, they would not put me in the army. I'm autistic, asthmatic, and I've got ulcerative colitis. Those are 3 things that individually all exclude you from military service. And don't forget to like the stream, everybody. I see we're at 54 likes, that's pretty good. But if anybody's on at the moment that didn't like it earlier, you might as well click like, because then it might send the stream out to some more people. No, I don't know too much about different battery types, to be honest. What's the type that most modern smartphones have in them? Because those tend to be pretty good in terms of they charge fairly quickly and they hold a decent charge. You know, I couldn't really tell you much about rechargeable batteries because I don't know enough about them. No, it's not come through, Elecon. Just post it on a regular YouTube video, as I've said, and I'll look later. Yep. Don't forget to like the stream, or the Belgian Ben4GP will get you. Even though Belgians don't speak like that, they don't speak like Bela Lugosi, do they?
Oh, don't forget to like the stream, or the Ben4GP will get you.
That's my stereotypical French accent, which is also Belgian, I guess, because Belgians and French are very similar, aren't they? I was going to say the same thing, but I imagine that would upset a lot of people. Cool, just don't wear GP5 filters, as I've said before lots of times, Luke, because asbestos in the filters, you know. At 58 likes, it says on mine. Yeah, sometimes the likes I see differ from the likes other people see, but yeah, whatever. I can't remember, is it this accent, Elecon? The Russian one about PBF gas mask? Is it that accent? But you know, asbestos filter is totally safe. There is no evidence in the world that asbestos is harmful to your lungs if you breathe it in. That is why brilliant Soviet engineers put it in the filters. Obviously, don't really do that. One of the brilliant comments I got was from a Russian guy, and he said he contacted one of the old factories that used to make Soviet filters, you know. The company still exists today, but, you know, it's privately owned now, not, like, publicly owned like it was in the USSR time. And what he said was really funny. So he sent an email off, you know, asking the company in Russian. He was like, "Hello, is it true that the filters you used to make contained asbestos for all of the Soviet civil defense and military masks?" And the factory wrote back to him, "There is no evidence whatsoever that asbestos is harmful to your health. However, we never used asbestos in our filters, and never write back to us again." That was almost going slightly German there at the end, but yeah. That I always find really amusing. It's a completely, where is the proofs? Yeah, my likes say 61 now, but I'm on the new YouTube beta interface for streams, which is good in some ways and bad in others. It's a lot more effort to set the streams up now. I have to, you know, like, do several things between OBS and each individual stream, but it seems at least once it's going, it's relatively good. Get him to see a doctor, call somebody. Hopefully he might be alright, but yeah, don't do that. So I take it you're wearing all the Stricton, or Stricton, however it's pronounced, and like the M56 helmet, but you don't want a Kalashnikov. Can you get an airsoft SKS? Or an airsoft PMK? Sorry, a PKM? Whatever. Or an airsoft SVD? But it would basically have to be a Warsaw-packed firearm. But yeah, airsoft SKS would look pretty cool. Because you could, let's see if, let me just save a picture and then I'll put it in the stream. Yeah, right. So what I mean is this. So yeah, you could have an SKS, because East Germany did use the SKS for a bit, so, you know, there's always that. if that's the sort of thing. I think SKSs are pretty cool looking rifles. You can buy deactivated SKSs in the UK, sometimes in a £200 to £300 margin. So if ever I've got a load of spare money and I feel like getting another deactivated gun, I might get an SKS. It's tempting. Yeah, no problem. When you say voice amplifiers, do you mean like the voice projection units, whatever they call them, like the electric ones that take batteries? No, I don't have any of those. Hello, no less content. I'm assuming if you've done that with your filter, mate, I'm assuming the cotton isn't either good enough to filter the carbon properly, or it's not in tight enough or whatever, so you're probably breathing in coal dust, so I would stop using it. Because I'm assuming what's happening is carbon dust is getting into your lungs, and it hurts because, you know, you shouldn't be inhaling coal. Which is, you know, why you probably should be using a proper filter. You know, it's why homemade filters need to be done right. Alright, see you, Robin. Yeah, I will be on later, Rich. I'll be streaming for quite a while. I'm going to have a little break. Not a very long one, like 5-10 minutes between this stream and the next stream, just to get, you know, fill up my water bottle and everything like that. But then we'll be just playing loads of Mordhound non-stop. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a stream earlier in the day. I don't know what time, but it might just be streaming some Arma 2, because I've got all the expansions for that installed now. So I might stream some Operation Arrowhead, and we can play as the British Army and stuff, because that might be quite fun. Yeah, my profile picture is a picture of me in a British Mark II helmet, you know, the Tommy helmet, the Brodie helmet, a British light anti-gas respirator on, with one of the old British Army jumpers and the SLR behind me. No, I don't stream on Twitch, I just stream on YouTube. Because it makes sense for me to put all my content in one place for the people who want to watch it, that way they don't have to go onto other platforms to watch me. My favourite era of history, either the Cold War or medieval. They're both, I know, radically different. Medieval just because of all the cool, weird, you know, melee weapons and everything, and the castles, because castles are just really cool, aren't they? You know, massive fortresses. But Cold War just because of all, like, the NBC escalation kind of stuff, and, you know, all that sort of things, and all the proxy wars. Obviously, lots of history isn't nice, but it's fascinating, you know, that kind of stuff. War Thunder, I used to play a lot of War Thunder, but I've not played it in yonks. Just because I kind of lost interest in it after probably playing like 1,000 odd hours of it. I'll do another spooky stream at some point this week, Foxy. I might even do that Wednesday, I don't know. But yeah, I'll do the spooky stream. I might, this time though, when I do a spooky stream, I might do it in the afternoon, because some people are quite annoyed that they are in the wrong time zone for it. So if I do another spooky stream, I'll probably do it Wednesday, and I'll probably try and do it around midday UK time, UK time, like 12, you know, in the middle of the day, or 1 PM, something like that. No, I don't think I've seen that. Is that a YouTube channel? Maybe YouTube just doesn't like you, Penguin. Maybe that's the problem. I like Polish FP5 filters, Luke, because they both fit on the, They fit on NATO and Warsaw Pact masks. And at one point, I don't know if Beast Store's still got any that are in date, but at one point you could buy them from him and they were in date, and they were like, you know, foil wrapped and still had years on them. Otherwise, just get RD40 filters. The thing is, with most 40mm filters of a decent quality, there's not going to be a massive difference between them. Yeah, I've heard it's totally broken the game balance again. I never liked high tiers in War Thunder because you just died too quickly. I like lower tier stuff, it was more fun. Yeah, the problem is, Cause Sign, that I can never please everybody when I do stuff in different time zones. Because obviously, if I'm doing something in a time zone that's good for some people, it's not good for other people, because people watch me in America, the UK, all over Europe, Australia, you know, some people in India and stuff like that. So sadly I can't please everybody, and just because I did the spooky stream in the evening last time, I'll do a spooky stream in the day this time for me, just because it means that other people get to see it. You can always watch it back later. Just about. The larger PDF fits me, which is the one I put the hose on, but not very well. I did a video, I think, showing that it fit me, but it's very uncomfortable. In theory, if I got the size 4, not a size 3 of a PDF, I think that would just about fit me enough that I could wear it comfortably for a decent amount of time. But, you know, it's one of those things where I'd rather not wear it. Yeah, FP5 filters are ABEC as far as I'm aware. They're definitely ABE and P3. But basically they're... I've got a sealed one in here. Where is it? I'm not going to break the seal, but this is the one that was made in 2012 and it expires in 2022, so I'm obviously not going to open this one until I need it. Hang on, I can get the instruction manual out. Even though it's in Polish, we might be able to gather some information from it. Right, let's see what's in here. Right, there's that one, which obviously doesn't tell me very much because I don't speak Polish. There's this one, which I guess is saying something like chlorine it lasts however many minutes against. I'm assuming one of those words is Polish for chlorine. You know, and what concentrations and everything. And I assume this is some sort of order form. Or something like that. But some of these filters come with like a sheet that basically says, you know, like has the colour codes like the ABEC ones, but this one doesn't. But some of the other filters have. But it's definitely going to be AB3. Sorry, ABE 1 or 2, and then it's going to be P3. I don't know if it's ABEC, but it's certainly very good FP5 filters. I've heard some people moaning about them, but I've never heard a legit complaint about them. I mean, from what I understand, you know, obviously you can still buy the out-of-date ones, like with most filters, so make sure you're buying an in-date one. I've heard some people say, you know, they're unlucky enough to have bought one that has been leaking, but again, that can happen with any filter. But, you know, I've personally, with the FP5 filters I've got, I've not found any problems with them. They've gone into all my masks fine, and, you know, whatever. I've not had any issues with my ones, but that's not to say some don't have issues, but... Sadly, like we were saying earlier, I think there's a lot of stuff now where if I recommend certain things, lots of people suddenly say, oh no, it's a very bad thing, Liam's recommending it because he doesn't know anything. Don't watch his videos, watch my channel where I have 2 videos. And I have a bad camera. So yeah, there might be legitimate complaints about them, but sadly, as I said, it seems a lot of the time now when I recommend stuff, people have to be, what's the word for it? There's a word for it, like when you on purpose... Is it contrarian? Or contrarian? Contrarian, isn't it? Where you go against stuff because it's popular or whatever. Ghost filters seem to screw into NATO masks fine, because the threads are slightly different. ABEC 2P3 are perfect. That's better than most military filters. Most modern military filters are normally AB2, EK1, I think. But ABEC 2P3 is pretty good. The only thing is they're quite bulky. I take it you're somewhere in the Far East then, Playmaker, sorry. But over here it's still the 6th. Yeah. Oh, crikey, mate, I can only watch a video at 144p. I can't tell the difference between any of the videos on YouTube. Because on Australian internet, they don't load. No, I don't mean contrary to popular belief. There's actually a word like contrarian or something like that, which actually legitimately... I'm going to Google it. Contrarian. A person who opposes or rejects popular opinion, especially in stock exchange dealing. Opposing or rejecting popular opinion or current practice. The comment, and there's an example. comment came more from a contrarian disposition and moral conviction. So it's saying that sometimes that people like to make a fuss about stuff that doesn't really matter, essentially, because they want to seem unique. Sadly, I don't have a Swiss SM90. I'd love to get one if I could get one, but I've never seen one for sale. Sadly, most Swiss masks never seem to turn up on eBay. Ugliest mask I have? Well, there's one I have that's not a gas mask. But you mean a gas mask, don't you? I mean, that's a really goofy looking mask, that Chinese one. I've ordered, though, a Chinese M65 mask, so when that comes, that will be the worst mask in my collection, and it will probably be the ugliest. They're real, but deactivated nebula. It's an IBM Model M, Foxy. The thing is, with a lot of streams, I think a lot of people just like to listen to them, don't they? So it doesn't really matter what quality you've got the actual video set to, as long as it doesn't keep lagging, you know. Because if you're just listening and then typing a comment every now and then while you're doing other stuff, like a lot of people do on streams, it doesn't really matter. Actually, I wonder if my ugliest mask is the one that's not a gas mask. I wonder if that's visible, and I'll show it you. If it's too buried, I won't be able to get it out. Sadly, I think it's right at the bottom of this wardrobe where I can't reach it at the moment. Yeah, I can't see it off the top of my head, so I can't show it you, unfortunately, at the moment. But I'll make sure I show it in a video at some point. Maybe a Halloween one, I think, because it is technically a Halloween mask. My favourite car? Well, at the moment, my Dacia Sandero, because that's my actual car I drive. And the Sandero is great, because it's technically the UK's cheapest car still. Although I've not got the cheapest model of it. I got the top-end model. I wasn't even going to go for the top-end model originally, but it was because they had it as a showroom car. So they knocked about £1.50 off. So it meant that for the price of, you know, like the mid-range model, I could get the top-range model with, like, no mileage on it. So I just went for the top-range model. But interesting enough, I think it was Watercar or something like that, rated the Sandero with the engine I've got as, it's in the top 10, although it's in the 10th spot, so it's not impressive, but it's still in the top 10, most fuel-efficient cars that are in the UK as well. So that's kind of funny, isn't it, that you can buy the UK's cheapest car, pretty much, and it also ends up being in the top 10 for fuel economy. And funnily enough, all the other Renault cars with the same engine don't even get into that list, because they all have heavier body kits. I think the SR1 looks cool. It's not that creepy, but sorry, the SR1 looks quite creepy. But I don't think it's really ugly. Yeah, I know about Slipknot, because I get lots of Slipknot fans coming on my videos going, "That's a Slipknot mask. That's a Slipknot mask." It's like, no, Sid Wilson used that mask. He didn't invent them. My favourite YouTuber? Well, the YouTuber that influenced me the most, Christian stuff, would be Weapon Collector. Because he's been making videos for years, and he had his channel before I had my channel. But if you mean out of big YouTubers, maybe Paul Harrell, or maybe Ashens. What do you mean by that, the great outdoors? I've got the British War Emergency Guidebook, which basically says that they're going to intern all the citizens and use them as gulag labour in the event of a nuclear war. Do you mean that, or do you mean something else? Hello! eBay is a good place, Miguel. My favourite Cold War helmet's the East German M56, definitely, because it's like ugly cool looking, and it was ballistically a very good helmet for a steel pot. The Yugoslavian helmet I got recently as well, I really like, the M5985. That's comfortable, has a good strap system, works with the Yugoslavian gas masks as well. I think the price has gone back down with GPUs though, hasn't it, Tyler? That was like a big spike for quite a while, but the GPU price has gone back to a sensible amounts, hasn't it? Are we having a GPU measuring contest now, Tyler? Mine's bigger. I've got the big Nvidia GPU. Oh, not again, because I'm buying a new computer in a couple of months, so I don't want the GPUs to be stupidly expensive. I'm mainly buying a new PC for the CPU, but... yeah, get a GP4 I'd then say, Miguel, for, like £20. You can also get the old Polish mask, for not too much money, that's like a GP4 but better, that looks very similar as well. I'm not going to get an i9, I'm going to get an AMD 7nm CPU, because Intel's had enough problems recently. I'm not going to pay for an overpriced chip with like 5 dozen security flaws in it. My Israeli M15 has a pretty big voice diaphragm. The GP7 and PMK both have pretty big voice diaphragms. Most of the Soviet ones have pretty big voice diaphragms, but... yeah. No, I've never had an IBM ThinkPad. Well, the air rifle I've got that I really like, Penguin, is the Gammo, or BSA, depending on what brand it's sold under in your country, Hornet. And it's literally, in Britain, the cheapest air rifle you can buy. It's like just a very well-made Springer. I mean, there might be some junior rifles that are less powerful that might be cheaper, but it's almost a 12 foot-pound air rifle. It's like a 10 or 11 foot-pound air rifle. It's a Springer. It's got fibre optic iron sights on it that are set to the barrel, not the back of the rifle, so they're always zeroed to the barrel. You know, it's all round a very good air rifle, but it's £100. For long hair, the only gas mask I reckon that will fit you properly, Soviet Union, is something like the Polish SR1 casualty mask, because it ties up at your neck, not around the back of your head. Probably East Germany as well, Toilet Noob, although saying that, Czechoslovakia had the coolest equipment, because they had technology. So they had all the really cool domestically made stuff that wasn't like the same stuff the rest of the Warsaw Pact used. My favourite M10 clone, or do you mean M17 clone, because technically the M10 is a clone of the M17. But if you mean an M17 style mask, which isn't the original US M17, probably the Polish MP4B, because it at least has a good drinking tube system on it. Do you mean the War Emergency Guidebook Great Outdoors? My uncle got it, because he's a painter and decorator, and he was doing the painting and decorating in somebody's house, and they were talking about the Cold War, and the guy said, oh, if you're interested, because he said, oh, my nephew's really into like the Cold War and all that, and all the gas masks, and he said, oh, if you're interested, my parents were on the Nuclear War Council, like the emergency committee, and I've still got all their old paperwork. And then he was like, here you go, you can have it for free. So that's how I got all that, because this guy's parents, you know, were on the thing. They had all this official government documentation, and then I think they must have died or whatever, and this guy had all their material, and it was just taking up space in his house. He's, oh, if your nephew finds that stuff interesting, have the book. I don't want anything for it, have it. So that's how I got it. No, it's an FN FAL, but the G3 is a battle rifle like the FN FAL. One of the deactivated guns I really regret not buying is that at one point you could buy G3 rifles on deactivated gun sites for about £200. I really wish I got one when it was that price, because I'd definitely put that on the wall. Duty, NX7, Duty or Clear Sky. Anyway, I'm going to finish this stream just about now, because I want to go and get another drink. So I'm just going to fill up my canteen with water. And then in 5 or 10 minutes time I will start playing Mordau, and I'll be playing that for a couple of hours, because I don't have to chat as much and my voice lasts longer. So thanks for watching this stream, everybody, and as said, if you stay tuned, in 10 or so minutes time I'll be playing some Mordau. So yeah, see you later for that one. So don't forget to like the stream on your way out if you haven't liked this one yet, and thanks for watching. Cheers.